Hey everybody, welcome to this week's recap. We are in our Route 66 series going through the book of Acts, and today we delved into a very common topic that, yes, even you have to deal with, disagreement. And the thing about disagreement is we all have it, some of us more than others. We deal with it differently. You know that person who falls apart when somebody disagrees with them just slightly. And you know the other person who's like cool, calm, and collected regardless of how strong that disagreement is. But regardless, disagreement is a part of life. And unfortunately, it will always be a part of life. Now, the way we view disagreement has a lot of bearing on our life as well. If we view it unhealthily, it has the power to cripple us and destroy us and keep us from the fullness of what God has for us. However, if we have a healthy view of disagreement, it really has an opportunity to create new things in our lives and to bring new opportunities our way and allow God to work in a great way through us and in us. Now, to look at this, we are in Acts, and last week we looked at how Paul was transformed by his relationship with Jesus and the powerful ministry that he started. Today, we looked at the relationship that Paul had with Barnabas. Barnabas and Paul were a dream team. They went on their first missionary journey together. They strengthened and exploded the church in Antioch. They were like the bee's knees, man. They were like awesome together. And you would think that a team this powerful was destined to stay together forever and just keep blowing it up. But that's not how the story ends. Paul and Barnabas ended up splitting ways over a sharp disagreement over whether they should take John Mark with them on another missionary journey. Now, at face value, it looks like a very sad ending to a very good story. However, there's so much that we can learn from this, and we can see that it wasn't the sad ending that you may think. See, Paul and Barnabas, even though they didn't come to a solution that kept them together, they came to a solution that was the right solution that allowed many wonderful things to come out of it. And we know that's the case. For one reason, they had no bitterness or animosity toward one another. We see later on in writings that they spoke well of each other, and that even Paul wanted John Mark, the same guy that they had a disagreement with, to join him later on in life. What seemed like a bad disagreement and a bad falling out really wasn't that, but it really was an opportunity for God to do something brand new through them. So looking at this whole situation, we need to change our perspective on how we deal with disagreement, how we view disagreement. So looking at this story, I think there are three big things that we need to take into our own account in our own lives when we look at disagreement. The first of which, we need to keep it between ourselves. It's so tempting to bring other people in and have this side is my side, this side is their side, and we just start warring because we all want to be right, and it feels good to be validated by other people. But the fact of the matter is, when we bring people into our disagreements, we make what is a simple disagreement, a matter of opinion and perspective, into a divisive issue. We never want to do that. The second thing is we need to know what the source of the disagreement is. Now, for clarification's sake, we're not talking about an issue of offense where somebody's hurt and we're not looking at an issue that's a moral issue where there's a right or wrong because of a sin or otherwise. We're looking at a difference of opinion. And if we understand the source of the disagreement is just that, a difference of perspective, a difference of the way interpreting information, different personalities, different gifts, different callings, and so forth, we can keep it from being drugged down into the mud to be an issue of offense or a moral issue. And if we are careful and we stop reading into it, if we stop letting Satan turn a simple disagreement into a matter of offense, if we stop trying to make every disagreement into a moral issue, we're going to do a lot better because we'll see it for what it is. The third thing is that we've got to see it through to resolution. Too often we let it fester. And when we let it fester, that brings conflict in. And when conflict comes in, there comes bitterness and destruction. We've got to see a disagreement through to a resolution. I'm not going to tell you this morning what's right and what's wrong for your solution, but there can only be three outcomes. one side is right, or both sides compromise, or 3, a parting of ways, a change in the relationship where neither side gives in. Now, any one of those can be right. Just because someone else doesn't budge doesn't make them wrong, and it doesn't make you right just because you're willing to compromise. That's a hard pill to swallow. But regardless of what the solution is, it needs to be agreeable, it needs to be cooperative, and it needs to have the other person's interest at mind and in heart. When we start doing that, when we start keeping our disagreements to ourselves, when we start recognizing the source of the disagreement, and when we start seeing it through to the end, all of a sudden there's an opportunity for God to bring growth and life out of it. A disagreement left to fester brings destruction, but a solution brings opportunity. We see that with Paul and Barnabas. Each one of them went their separate ways, and God blessed them and flourished their ministries. God blessed other people as a result for that. There was just an explosion of growth in the church. So let me encourage you today. Don't let a disagreement fester. Bring a solution about. A disagreement left to fester brings destruction. A solution brings opportunity. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you next time.